Hello and welcome to YHTV's Trinity of Life. This is episode 58. I'm Christina Suzama, your host for this program. Thank you so much for joining me as I continue to explore the wonderful world of healing arts, meditation, therapies, and the many modalities of helping each of us find balance in our individual journeys. We're always excited to meet those who are on the leading edge of creating change on this planet. Today we'll be speaking about the ability of hope healing us and the planet. At any time during this live presentation, you can feel free to ask a question or make a comment by scrolling down on your screen and typing the comment or question into the box. And remember to click submit so that I can share it with our guests. Now, if you prefer to dial in and speak to our guest directly, you are very welcome to dial into our conference line at 323-476-3672. And the conference ID for you is 607393 #. Well, I have to tell you that, most of you might know that I like to spend my Sundays at farmers markets. And I was recently at one of my favorite markets. I was going about my business and I noticed a couple of gentlemen carrying some signs stating free hugs. Now, those of you who know me would know my reaction. I loved that because, as you know, I love hugging. And I feel that always, you'll hear on the shows, I feel that, there's such a lack of the human touch these days. And we're in such a fear-based society that, we need to bring some of that back. So when I saw these signs, of course, I had to approach them to find out what it was all about. So I'd really like to welcome our guest for today, Andrew Ferreira, the Ambassador of Hope. Hey, Andrew.
Hi. How are you, Christina?
Good. Thank you for jumping in and joining us on our show. Really appreciate you taking the time.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So, Andrew, tell us a little bit about your background. I mean, from sort of like, where are you from? And where you went to school, and the first part of your career, so to say.
Grew up in La Crescenta, California. Through school, I kind of took a technology path, business path, psychology path, right? And I got out of college I got out of junior college expecting to go to a tech school, Pomona, Cal Poly Pomona, and get a degree in engineering, right? Because that's where I had been guided by my family and my mom and so on and so forth. Everybody just kind of guided me down that path, and so I kind of agreed with it, and I went that way. But there's a certain aspect of being who you are, and not what other people want you to be. So I rejected it. I was in school for about 6 months to a year or so, and I just rejected it. I actually withdrew from the school because I just didn't feel the type of the study, the type of people. It just wasn't warm to me. It wasn't a warm environment. You know what I mean? And I feel like even then I was kind of seeking that. Where people are friendly, happy, not cold, not fully to themselves. But engineers are totally like that. So I was like, what was I thinking? So my intuition was saying you got to do something else, and I did. I left. I didn't really fully come around to that until recent years. That was about 10 years ago. But left.
So from that technology background, or I mean, you must have enjoyed computers and everything to a certain point.
I didn't mind it. I mean, obviously I was good at it, and I'm still good at it. I can do that very well. I can, throw networks together. I can wire just about anything. I can talk people through software that I've never even used before. But because you get to be so intuitive working with different apps and programs on a phone, on a computer. You just know. It's the settings menu should be right here. It's easy. It's easy once you've done it. But yeah, so I went down that path, and I ended up working for a investigative company for quite a while, doing their IT work in house. And doing a lot of other work, not quite investigative related, but court research, that kind of thing, attorney services. And then, I got to a certain point where I just had to leave that. Cold turkey, I quit to pursue things like what I'm doing right now. And I don't know where it's going to go. I still don't know. But I'm developing a plan as I go.
Good.
Trying to solidify something, more concrete, than going out weekly to give hugs. But I think that's a good start. It might be a great foundation, so we'll see.
Well, so that's really interesting. So you kind of jumped into all this cold turkey, really.
Pretty much, yeah.
And so tell us.
Meaning. I just needed meaning. I could have been at this job for much longer, but it was not great and it was not bad. It was just okay. And to me, I could have been 50 with settling with okay and never having done what I was really maybe meant to do. And I would never know that because I wouldn't have given myself the chance.
Right.
So I thought, let's just see what happened and trust. I mean, it was just a big trust. And I don't know how I've made it 2.5 years since I left that job. I don't know. But I have. Still here, So,
wow, It's been 2.5 years.
Yeah. I've had different work, obviously different side jobs all the way through, And of course, the signs, I kind of sell the signs. I suggest, whatever comes to mind. Usually it's $5 because, that's what people usually have on them. Like, hey, I'm just suggesting $5 for the sign. I hate to put a price on it because I don't want people to walk away. If they really wanted the experience, I don't want them to walk away because they didn't have enough cash on them or something like this, right?
Right.
So I started doing it that way, and I kind of want to stay with that. People say, just charge $5, charge $10. I'm like, no, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. So
well, we'll soon get to the signs because, and then we can kind of fill people in on what you were just tagging in on there. But I kind of want to go back to what and how you even got inspired to do this. I mean, did you meet someone? Did you see someone else doing this? I had mentioned earlier that I had mentioned earlier that the way I met you was because you were holding the sign saying "free hugs."
Free hugs.
So that is what the sign says. Now, 2.5 years ago. That's a while ago. What? Jumping from a secure job. To something that you, at this point, you're still trying to figure out the direction for you as your journey. But what inspired you to jump into this new pool?
Again, the main thing for me was meaning. I just needed something that was meaningful. Whether that was an environmental job or it was some form of a job, some form of job that inspires people. Because I feel like. One of the things that got me into this whole, free hugs movement, so to speak, is I had a website, or I still have a website called ConsciousRiver.com, and I was just happened to be sitting with a friend, and this is where it came to be, like this whole free hugs thing. I was sitting with a friend, and I was showing him this new video that I posted on my website, right, about free hugs, and I'm like, this is kind of cool, and you should check this out. And then so. He's sitting there, he's thinking to himself, this is one of those things that, maybe we could do. He says, like, I don't know if he made the connection or I made the connection, but some of the things that I was showcasing were things that, I don't know, like Cirque du Soleil, some amazing feat, that would take a lot of skill to perform or something like this, right? And it's basically, we came to the conclusion, free hugs is something anyone can do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It doesn't take any skill other than maybe getting out of your fear for a little bit, out of your comfort zone for a little bit until, everything breaks loose and you're like, I can totally do this. Like I have 3 or 4 hugs. I'm like, let's go, bring it, But what was ironic about that is that it started with the idea that you can do this, that we can do this. This is one of those many things that you showcase that you can do.
Okay, so
and I'm like, all right, so we started.
So this
started there.
There was no organization at the time. There was no one that was doing this at the time.
Well, that video, it was just it's the official Free Hugs video. If you type in Free Hugs on YouTube, you'll get the one. It probably has about 75 million views right now. So that's what.
So someone had started it somewhere.
About 10 years ago.
About 10 years ago.
people have, I'm guessing around 10. We've been doing this for 2.5. I'm guessing that was, I don't know exactly when that started, so I could be totally wrong on the date, but it doesn't matter. People have been doing this. If you've ever been to Burning Man or you've heard about Burning Man, people have been holding signs that say hugs for a long time. I mean, who's to say? It could have been 100 years ago, 200 years ago. I have no idea who got the initial idea to hold a sign that says hugs, or in newer times, free hugs. You know what I mean? So who's to say, right? So it started with that, a video by just a guy who gets out into public and gives hugs, you know, at a mall or whatever.
Right.
And he paired up with Sick Puppies, which was a very well-known Australian band music group at the time. And they put together a really inspirational video about giving hugs. And that went viral.
Wow. Wow. So that's sort of like your first step into this for yourself. It was that video inspired you to take it up over here in California.
Yeah, well, it was a definite inspiration. I mean, the first thing we did is we got T-shirts and we went down to the Santa Monica Pier and we drew up these crazy, you know, those folding science project boards, you know, that have the folding backs or whatever. We folded the backs, taped them up, and we just put free hugs really big on the sign. We didn't know. I mean, what do you do? That's what you do. If you don't have a custom made printed signs like I have now, you have to make one from something somehow.
Right.
And so we did. And I was very intimidated because I hadn't been. This is not normal for me. I had not grown up giving hugs. You know, it just wasn't normal. But I knew that it was right. So I thought, let's do it. You know, why not? And so it started in Santa Monica Pier, very like that, because during the summer, this was like probably May, going into June, somewhere around there. It's busy on the Santa Monica Pier, you know, but you just get right out of your anxiety, your fear, or anything you have about giving hugs within 3 or 4 people, and that happened quick. I mean, before I even got to the pier, just the walkway coming down, before I even got to the pier, I was ready to go. You know, we were both ready to go. So it's pretty cool. And then from that point on, it's like, oh, we can do this. This is no problem, you know? And I don't know if everybody else has that same experience when they start. But for me, I was anxious. You know, I have to admit, the first time, it was like, what are people going to throw tomatoes at me? I mean, what is going to happen? I wasn't expecting positive outcomes. I was expecting negative initially.
Right.
And then, but that totally changed. You know, you believe your stories. That's where you're going to go. That's the path you're going to go down. And I gave up my story within like 2 minutes, you know, it was like, let's go, you know, bring it, you know, and it happens. It happens like that. Most people.
So through you on Santa Monica Pier starting to give hugs with your friend 2.5 years ago, you have set up this organization, HopeHeals.us, which is Hope Heals Us. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
A good reason for that. I had been doing the Free Hugs Los Angeles. There was a group, Facebook group, and then one day I just came to me. I said, "This is the core of what all this is about. Is hope." You know, I mean, that hope needed to be a primary focus in my life to promote it, to showcase how important hope is. You know, it's like the ultimate life catalyst. It's the thing that helps us make better choices. It's the thing that helps us feel better. It's the thing that breaks through fear. It's the thing. It's a good source. And I came to that realization. So I thought, let's create a website, an actual website, not just a Facebook page, but let's create a website, you know, about hope, with kind of a focus on how hopeful free hugs can be. You know, how hopeful that actually is for people. You know, that connection to humanity that you just don't get anywhere else. I mean, the smiles in the street, yeah, okay. Maybe a high five, but who's going to do that in the street randomly without some kind of a reason? Hey, high five, you know? I mean, it would cheer people up, maybe. I don't know. You know, one way to connect with a complete stranger. But there's not a whole lot of things in the world that can truly get right to it, that like free hugs, you know? And like I say, the reason I totally, you know, embraced it is because, you know, I knew it was the right thing to do. And it's helped me because, you know, I started with a background of not really giving hugs. They were not really thinking that was important, or I don't know, it just didn't really happen. And then all of a sudden now it's like, with friends and family, it's happening more and more. But I don't force it. It's just like any other belief. You don't put it on people. For me, it's just my personal opinion. Whatever. I just don't push my beliefs. Like even if I had a religion or a faith or something, I wouldn't be pushing it on them. I wouldn't be pushing that on them as I wouldn't be pushing this on them. You lead by action.
Mm-hmm.
You don't tell people what to do.
Yeah.
It just never works.
That's a great consciousness to have. So what does your family think of all this? Suddenly, you're out there, you're giving hugs, you've dropped the whole technology, computer engineer world.
They've obviously they've resisted it. Mm-hmm. I mean, to be expected. I'm walking a slightly different path than most people in my life, and they've resisted it. And I've had my doubts. Was this the right thing to do or whatever? And I still have my doubts, but the reality of it is that I figure that they say there's some quote that says that if you're find your passion and the money will follow, something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that's what I need to stick to. I can do all my technology related stuff in between. Right now I don't really have a technology related job, if you could even call it that, and that's okay. I can always throw technology into the mix because I'm good. I can do it. Can always add that. And what I was hoping to do, obviously, all along, is to add and help social organizations,
mm-hmm.
that are doing things for a positive, good cause. Helping enable them
mm-hmm.
with technology. Because that's the edge, I think. So that's one of the places where I wanted to be. If I were to be doing something 9 to 5 in the short term, that's where I would almost prefer to get me where I want to go, which I would say would be to just be able to do this anywhere in the world, and maybe even better, have a group, have a couple people to come and light a place up wherever we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it encourages many people to try it. And it would not really be encouraging, inviting other people to try. I mean, that's the crux. That's the huge crux move, is just say, hey, would you like to try?
Mm-hmm.
Giving or offering hugs. I mean, it may seem simple, but it's important. Just that offering. Their choice. Anyway, it's just offering.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty
mm-hmm.
cool. Pretty powerful.
It is very powerful. It is very, very powerful. I believe in it. So,
yeah.
And it's just very interesting on how you sort of came upon it, that, your story and the journey that you're taking, through all this, and it is, it's sort of a path where not a lot of people understand, so to say. And,
okay.
But I always say, like minds will come together,
mm-hmm.
And it will grow. It will get bigger.
Yeah.
So
no doubt.
This is, so here you are, 2.5 years later, and you are still standing on the street, giving your free hugs, and in very popular, busy areas too.
I am trying, the closer ones to me. Mm-hmm. If I had more resources, obviously I'd be at Santa Monica up here every day. You know what I mean? But I just don't.
Right.
Until I have the resources, the financial resources that I need to be anywhere, I'll go anywhere. And I know where all the bottlenecks are, where all the people that flow in LA, at least now.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I don't know them all. I don't know everything, that's for sure. But I'm working on it. And with the resources, I could literally find that. And it's like a Starbucks. You duplicate the same thing somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or invite others to start the same thing somewhere else in their city. Now, I can't be in Chicago.
Right.
Or I can't be in New York City necessarily right now, but I could maybe easier invite them to start something there and do it over there. Can't be in that many places at once.
Now, have you connected with that gentleman that you first saw the video of that inspired you?
A little bit. Not much. It was just a couple times I had mentioned, oh, by the way, just want to let you know we're doing free hugs in LA, and we're we're selling signs to encourage people to do this, so that, maybe when we're not there, we're not able to make it onto that particular corner. Someone else could be, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
try to tell them, like, this is what we're doing. We're not trying to step on your feet. Not that we would. I mean, how could you, right? But just to be respectful, we kind of reached out and said, what we're doing. And he responded back like, oh, no problem. Go for it. Do whatever, sell whatever, do whatever. It's all good, So his name is Juan Man, which I doubt it's his real name. It's JUANMANN, but the reality of it is that if you look at the video, it's one man. And basically, yeah. So pretty cool and, inspirational.
Right.
Enough to catalyze at least me going out and doing it with my friend, and then others that joined me. Mm-hmm. And then obviously Chris and on Sunday in Montrose, seems to be a regular, I've had Bill in the past. He seems to be a regular,
That's great.
So I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go. I just don't. But I look forward to it.
Right.
Right. I totally look forward to it.
So can you do me a favor right now, Andrew, and hold up your sign?
Oh, sure. Which one? the new one or the tagged one?
The tag. Well, why don't you show both? The new one has no tags on it, right?
Okay. So the new one is, you can see that. I can't really see the video.
Yeah.
I can't see myself.
Yeah. No, you've almost, right? You got it.
Okay.
You got it.
But so basically it's the free hugs, just as plain as it can be. And then, the what I call the love expansion symbol down here, kindness symbol, whatever you want to call it. It's like that radio tower emanating out love or kindness,
yes.
of love. So I think that was critical. I can tell you the story of how that came to be. It's completely original. And then the website, of course, I integrated it into the words, because I wanted from a distance it to be more about free hugs. If you want to follow up and inspire yourself heavily, you can go to the website.
That's very cool.
So
very cool.
That's this one. And
very cool.
I should probably go into the story about this.
Yes, please.
Okay, so somewhere along the line, Chris in Montrose, and it's good to have some people once in a while that really support it and care, because you get the feedback. Ideas, off each other, so to speak, and it helped. So he had mentioned, why don't you put a sign up on the grass or something where you're doing this, and wherever you go, right? And so I thought about that, and I could still do that. It seems like a lot more work, potentially, to get out there and put signs up and everything, right?
Right.
But then it came to me, why not put this online and have the world have access to it? And basically, what this is. I had started asking people, hey, do you want, you get a hug from me? And I'll say, hey, did you want to, tag the sign? And I say tag, but that's the wrong word maybe, but would you like to put some hope or some inspiration on the sign? Tag, when I say tag, it kind of catches them like, what do you mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I can tell them, look, just if you want, if you feel inspired, throw some hope or inspiration or whatever makes you happy on the sign. And then we're going to put it up. And at that point, I didn't really know that I was going to possibly sell it as art to support what I do. But now I'm realizing, at that point, I'm realizing, hey, let's just get people to write hope. Not before it was just, sign your name, that you were here, right? So, Lydia from Australia or something like this, right?
Right.
Or whoever, and they would put that on the sign. They'd be like, oh, love hugs or whatever. And that was what we used to do way back when we were at Santa Monica Pier. We had the sign. I wish I had the sign ready, but it's giant and it's tagged, like completely full of signatures, all around. You couldn't fit anything else on some of these signs, right? Totally tagged, huge, full size, science project size. So that was just signatures. Now hope, and so there's some amazing things. I'll read this. This is one of the ones that really inspired me. If you can see that, it says, we are all angels with one wing. We need to embrace each other to fly. And that was from someone who had done it. And I just crossed that person in the street. It was a girl. Her name is Red. And just crossed her path in Pasadena and said, hey, would you like to tag the sign with something hopeful, something you'd like to pass on, to give to others, to pass on to others? And she's like, oh, I wanted to get this tattoo. you know, and
Oh,
as a tattoo, and I'm like, we'll share it, you know, if it's that good, obviously, do it. And it was just inspirational. And there's a ton of that on these signs.
So
I'll
you've just
read.
been collecting sign after sign and letting people tag them.
Yeah, I have certain signs that I use. I mark the sides just to use those as the ones to for people to try to
Right.
use. And so, you know, if they're hanging out with me long enough, I'm like, hey, if you want, you could help, you know, just encourage people to write some hope on the signs. And I
Right.
tell them about it or whatever. And they're like, good, give me a pen. I have markers in the bag, permanent markers ready to go, you know? And, you know, and then they start getting into it. And then they start, what's ironic or whatever is that then they start looking at the sign. You know, they start realizing, oh, I'm not just holding a free hug sign. What is all this writing? And then they start letting it sink in. All of the people that have come before them and given some form of hope. You know what I mean? It's just it's really cool. And then I see them start to read it, and they're like, oh, that's what I'm doing this for, in a way. You know what I mean? That's why I'm here. Oh, good. You know, at least I'm not part of some scam or something, right? You know, it's something real. It's real. This is love. This is real love. And this is real hope. You know, it's no joke. You know, so trying to think if I could find another pretty cool one. There's so many of them. I mean, like almost every one of these, I could probably. There's this person says there is beauty everywhere! Exclamation point with the heart. You know, I'm Candace or whatever. You know, and I don't know. Love yourself first, and then you'll love someone else. You know, you like to know that these people know that you need to love yourself first to be able to love someone else. You know, and so there is a lot of hope, real hope, in people. You know, and why not collect it?
Mm-hmm.
And then they feel important. People feel important. Like I have something to give. It's not just like take. I have to give. Right. You know, whether they joined us to give hugs or not, they might have, just, gotten a hug, written something inspirational that they'd like to pass on, something that makes them happy, whatever, and then they carry on with their day. You know, maybe feeling a little bit better than they did before.
Right.
I don't know I don't know I don't know the outcome. I'm just there to, just to catalyze I have no idea. I mean, I'm probably given 10,000 hugs. I don't know what that did for people. I don't know. And I'll never know. And I don't need to know. So it's pretty cool.
I would think that some of them shared it back with you, right? Their feeling. And like you were saying, like how awkward it is to give the first 2 or 3. It is also awkward for other people because, and it's true. The first thing is, what kind of a scam? And what are these men trying to do?
Right. They'll think, oh, it's just men, until a couple of women join and it changes everything.
Right.
It's just what they see at that moment or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Like this last week, there was 3 women and 1 man and me, and 1 younger guy and me. And that was the team,
That's great.
Say there was just, hugs were flying everywhere, Yeah.
Those were the angels.
What was ironic about that is there were a couple people proselytizing a little bit, I won't say like to what extent or whatever, but they were there. And I was, just debating with them. And as I always do, I would keep it wide open. Like, I can learn from them just like they could learn from me, just completely wide open. And while that was happening, it's as if everyone else knew what was going on and felt it. And decided, there were more hugs happening even while that was going on. I had to stop the conversation and say, "Do you realize what's happening right now?" It's like there are more hugs happening, flying here than I've ever seen ever in doing this. You know what I mean? It was amazing. It was just that love energy is so transformational. Yeah. I don't know how to describe it. I mean, the words can't really describe it. That's all.
Well, as I say, the people of like mind will come together, and when others see that there's no harm.
Right, exactly.
Then it's like, oh, that's interesting. Well, that's okay. Well, why can't I do that? And then it kind of, it's infectious. It becomes infectious after that.
It totally is. The way I look at it when I'm out there, being behind the sign is, we're all, in the way I'm seeing people react, it feels to me like they're all children. And this is like some new thing that they don't understand, right? Even if you're 80 years old in that crowd, right? you don't have your parents to tell you whether this is right or wrong. You don't know. I mean, like, you still have to make up your mind. Is this the right thing to do or the wrong thing? What do I do here?
Mm-hmm.
And so usually the thing that would break that is when one person or two, like a couple or something, just break that ice
Mm-hmm.
and stop and get a hug. Someone else is watching. I always know that people are watching, no matter what. I mean, I might look to them, right? I may not see them looking this direction when I look to them, but I'm pretty sure they're watching, right? They're trying to figure out, what is this guy doing? All this, right? And so I feel like once one person breaks through that fear, and whatever it is, maybe they're just totally natural. They've been hugging all their lives. This is totally normal for them. There's all different levels of this, right? They do it. 10 people potentially might have just seen that happen and realized, hey, they did it. I guess now I can. 80 years old, doesn't have a parent around to tell him, okay, I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go give that guy a hug because it matters, or because it's the right thing to do, or for whatever reason, what they come up with. It's pretty cool.
Sure. Oh, it'd be so cool to have kids involved.
There have been. I can't even tell you how many times the kids kick it up a notch. No doubt. No doubt about it.
Because as an adult, you don't. The defense system is different,
of course,
with a child. So it's not like, what is this individual attempting to do? It's like, oh, a child wants to give a hug. How sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then one of the stereotypes that totally got smashed for me is that you would think that the parent would come and get a hug first and be like, oh, this is legit and genuine or whatever.
Right.
And okay, here go little Sally or Johnny. Go ahead, go get a hug, right? And no, 9 times out of 10, they'll have their child go first.
Wow.
And get a hug. And if the hug is whatever, genuine or something holds up to their standards or expectations, then they'll be like, oh, I want a hug. Because adults have less inhibition than children. The child is already walking towards you for a hug because they're realizing, this is like love. I mean, they still know love.
Know it. Yeah.
Fully. They haven't, the labels in society haven't kind of conditioned the fear into them, right? They know love. So they're going towards you. And then the parent is like, oh, okay, go ahead, right? And then the parent starts getting rid of their inhibition a little bit and be like, oh, you know what? Hey, that was a good hug. I want one too, and it's like, but there's so much of these stories that keep us from just letting go and doing it because it's the right thing to do or whatever, or because maybe seeing the deeper root is that this is connection to humanity. This is like that source, that thing that I feel, and again, this is just a belief, I feel like people need that connection to humanity. You know what I mean? Beyond their family, beyond their friends, just that kindness, that smile, that high five, that hug, those things matter, And so, but again, that's just a belief, Without that means none of that means anything. But I just feel it's important, Anyone else does or doesn't, it's completely up to them. I leave that open.
There you go. I agree with you on that as well. So the individuals that have sort of joined you or begin to partake with you, they know you're going to be at these places at these times and they just join in. I mean, do you have I don't know, on your website, do you have a list of people that have joined or a list that you can keep track of to let them know where you'll be and how they can do this wherever they are?
How they can do this wherever they are, that's not rocket science. They can just do it, right? They don't need anything more than maybe the website and seeing me to do it. Or maybe getting a sign. It's kind of cool
that you already have the signs made up.
Oh yeah, and then the main thing would be getting a sign from me. You know what I mean? That just makes it easy. It's not bulletproof, but it's definitely going to last a long time. You know what I mean? It is. The text isn't going to wash off. It's going to be there, and it doesn't break. It's really hard to break these signs. They're corrugated plastic. Come on, right? A cardboard would eventually just be gone, but these aren't going to last forever. So,
wait a minute. They're corrugated plastic?
Yeah, the corrugated plastic. Yeah.
So
they're meant to last.
When did you actually start printing those up?
I would say maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. Yeah, it's we got to the point where it was like, we go out and do this, but who's to say if anyone's going to go out and do it after us? They don't have a sign. We didn't really necessarily expect that they were going to make a sign. I mean, we had the stuff, we got the core guide, we got the science project board, but I mean, where would you get that these days? Do people really know I'm going to go get this board and get a big permanent marker and intentionally do this? I would hope, right? But we thought, you know what? Let's just see if anybody, see if we can find a place that could make signs for us that we could maybe sell to help do what we do, and encourage them to do it when we're not there. In other words, when we leave the Santa Monica Pier, right? We're only there for, let's say, maybe half a day, right? We leave. Well, then what do we leave behind? Maybe someone's going to do it and come to the pier with the sign, but who's to say? So we decided, let's make it easy for people to come back and do this when we're not around. You know what I mean? When we're not there on that pier, the next day, or another day, the next Friday when we're not there, or the next Saturday when we're not there, someone else is going to be there because they thought, hey, it was Saturday, it was really fun, I had the best time of my life, I want to go out and do that again. So they get a sign, and I would hope, again, not attached to the outcome. I've hugged a lot of people and I've sold a lot of signs. I would hope a lot of people are out there doing it, but I don't know. And I think not being attached to that outcome is essential. Just letting it go, that it's going to be what it's going to be. So it's pretty cool. Pretty fun.
That's hilarious. So you even had all the signs printed up, and I thought it was cardboard actually until you said it was corrugated plastic.
Yeah, it's pretty important. It was just a conscious choice to make it easier.
Right. Right.
And whether make it easier for people to join us right then, and make it easier for people to do it on another day. I mean, it's staring right at them. It's going to be in their bedroom or whatever, on a wall. Who's to say? It's a fairly large sign. It's staring right at them. The possibility to have one of the best nights of your life is right there. You know what I mean? And it's going to be staring at them. So if they made the initial choice to get the sign, it's gonna pop up at some point in the future. I'm guessing. So pretty cool.
Yeah. That is. So the people who have joined you so far, can you give us an idea of their backgrounds, like what they do for a living, and
I had the main people lately that are pretty solid. One of them is like a chemist. One of them is an artist. I have one that's a sound engineer. And I don't know. I mean, and then the good thing, the most beneficial or like coolest thing that I get out of doing this is that I feel like I'm attracting the best people in the world to me. I get to meet the coolest people out there because they've let it all go. You know what I mean? Once they chose to like, hey, I can do this. Let's try this. They're in a realm, and I would hope everyone could be so let go, so detached from I don't know, thought and society and what everybody feels about them and fear and all this stuff, right? But it takes time. It takes active, mindful practice to get that way, right? So these people are amazing people. Almost every single one was really a cool person, or at least I would say half maybe are just people who want to be more of their higher self. You know what I mean? They see this as maybe something that might get them there, or makes them feel like that. So they're hanging out. They're not very mindful maybe, or whatever. They may not know anything about hugs or love or anything yet, but they know that maybe this was the right thing to do and they tried it, or maybe they got tricked into it. One of their friends just handed them a sign and said, "Here you go." I don't know. And the next thing they know, I've seen some, like last weekend, there's this like middle-aged guy. It's like, oh, okay, I guess I could do this. Like he wasn't
That's great.
A friend just handed him a sign basically, and he's like, I think I can do this. And next thing you know, he was enjoying it. He was having a good time, and young and old. People were coming. Young and old, giving him a hug, and obviously I was with a fairly large group, so it's like. But it changes every night. I'll have 3 groups through the night or whatever. Sometimes 1, sometimes 5 groups of different people. Maybe 2, maybe 3. Sometimes 5 at a time. Like on Saturday last Saturday. So just pretty cool. Just such a variety of people. Great energy. Always.
Yeah, I
stuff.
mean, how can you not have fun, right?
Yeah, it's
When you have so many
impossible.
people standing there, and
Yeah,
I
give us love.
love how people are jumping in to be
Yeah,
with you.
yeah.
Andrew, a
Cool.
question came in saying, "What do you see this evolving into? I mean, do you have any visions of the direction you'd like it to go?" I mean, you've dedicated 2.5 years to this, and you've
Do it too about. Yeah.
you know,
Um, the way I see it is the more I'm out and doing it, the more likely I am to run into the person that cares enough to help me take it further. Cares enough to have those talks with me of where it could go or whatever. I don't like thinking in a vacuum. You know what I mean? I just don't like. It's too. We need to work together to make things happen in this world. Most of the biggest and greatest things that have ever happened in the world happen with a team, with more than one person. Yeah, obviously it was the one person that catalyzed it, maybe, but beyond that, it takes people, and it takes dedicated people. So for me, just being out, and just continuing to being out there, it's just a win-win all the way around. Eventually, I would imagine I would attract the right person, but even if I don't attract the right person or people, I would love to think abundance in this realm. It's a big world.
right?
So for me, it was essentially just catalyzing, going wherever I wanted in the world with maybe a small group, if that was even possible. It would be a conscious choice. Hey, do you want to do this versus that?
Right.
If you could be funded to go around the world, catalyzing free hugs in major places with lots of people, would you do it? Would you jump ship from what you're doing to do that? And I would love to think that there'd be people that would just jump at the chance to jump ship, go anywhere in the world, and just be that for people. And to encourage, obviously, to invite people to try. I mean, that's the key, is just invite people that, like this one guy I was talking to last week that did it. Somehow came up that he would not have thought that he could do this too by just seeing me, because there are some points in the evening where I'm just by myself, right? And so him seeing me with the sign, not seeing a group of people, but just seeing me with the sign, when he first came up to me and got a hug, he says, "I would have not thought that I could do this too. Just by seeing you with the sign, I thought, okay, get a hug, and then okay, carry on with my day. Would have not thought that I could do this too." So by me inviting, that's pretty important. Hold on, I didn't mute my phone. That was great. They say in the movie theater, mute. Yeah, that's funny. But anyway, yeah. So he didn't think that he could do it, until I invited him. So I think that's pretty key, is the invitation. And all of this is just the invitation. It's one thing to see someone on the corner with a free hug sign, but it's a completely different picture. And when you have the realization that I can do that too, I can give love just like that person. You know what I mean?
Right.
I have that to give. I always say people have an infinite amount of love to give. And what are we waiting around for that significant other or that family member or that group or whatever it is to provide that love for us?
Yeah.
Right? When we can be giving it right now. Giving that boomerang, throwing the boomerang out, getting it back, and pretty much on demand. Obviously, you're not. You go to a space. You're not like chasing hugs, right? You're just offering, right? So it's pretty much on demand. You go and you be present in a certain space, right? You open your heart and open your mind and your presence to offering hugs, right? And then it happens. It just happens, And it's just basically setting that intention and being there, It's pretty cool.
Well, I was in a theater not too long ago, a movie theater, and a gentleman kept getting up out of his chair and offering people a handshake. And it was cool. Very, very interesting to see who, no sign. He just come up and go, "May I shake your hand? May I shake your hand?" And I mean, I just stopped and said, "Why?"
Yeah, most people would
it's like, why? And he says, "Just want to shake your hand." I said, "Okay, you got it." And he went around the theater. Anyone who came in, he'd walk up to them and shake their hand, and he'd go back to his seat. Next people came up, he'd shake their hand. Wow, and it was amazing to see how many people, he was African American. And so, again, I can see hesitation,
Maybe,
right?
possibly.
And so it was very interesting. And I watched them
Huh.
one after the other. I thought that's really interesting.
Beautiful experience,
Yeah,
right?
it's like it takes a lot of courage, as you
No,
say.
it
You know,
does.
not everybody is going to be open to it, and not depending
Yeah.
on where they are, and not everybody is going to have a positive attitude because of
Mhm.
how we're culturally set. You know, it's great
Mhm.
to have a certain defense system up and teaching our
Right.
children
To
that,
a certain
watch your
extent, you need
back
that,
and,
of course.
know who these people are. Of course, it's a balance. It's back to
Right.
being a balance. And so to see something like what you're doing, manifest itself,
Mhm.
it's really beautiful. It's almost like,
Yeah, it's magical.
it is as they say, it's like that lotus blossom coming through the mud, right?
Mhm.
Here's
Yeah,
here's the
it's
society
true.
of very fear-based people, and
Yeah.
yet here's this one spark of light or one blossom that is going to start coming through and
Yeah,
touching
it's love.
others, and so it's really lovely what you're doing, very inspirational. Now,
Yeah.
there's something that I remembered you were saying, Andrew, and that I've become very aware of, which is uh, what you had said about your own thought process when you are standing out there with these signs, and between the negative and the positive that you play with in your own
Mm.
capacity. Can you share that with us?
Yes, it was so like inspirational to me, that transformation, that I actually blogged about it on the Hope Heals Facebook page. If you
Oh,
want to
good.
kind of read up about that, it's one of the recent blogs, or blog, if you call it a blog on Facebook. It's kind of a blog. Anyway, basically, I'm standing in the street in Burbank, the usual, early evening Burbank free hugs journey, and I was by myself at that point. No one had joined me, and I remember thinking to myself, "There's not a lot of people out right now." Number one, it seems like Burbank. I had just come from Glendale. There were a ton of people there, seemingly happy, right? And now I come to Burbank, and it just doesn't seem to be as many people. It's as if they all went to Glendale, right? Americana, right? I'm like, what? And then I remember also feeling like they were kind of cold, like they weren't looking at me. They weren't not even giving the time of day, which is okay. I mean, they judge. People do. If I was uncomfortable with people judging me, I would have stopped this a long time ago. But just letting go of that. But then I caught myself. I thought, I'm painting a negative picture, and I was actually thinking, oh, this isn't going to be a very good night. I remember catching myself and saying, no, it's going to be a magical night. It's going to be fun, and it's going to be magical, right? And I had to actually consciously stop myself from thinking that it might not go well. And this happens, not all the time, but once in a while, you have to stop and be mindful enough to see where your thoughts are going and that you can change them. So I stopped. And the next thing you know, I start being more mindful about inviting people to join me. Hey, would you like to try? Offering hugs. And within maybe a half hour to an hour, not only were there 5 people around me with signs giving hugs, more than I've seen in the past, right? But also there's a lot more people. So it's as if just putting that out there, and it's whether you look at it as it's putting it out into the world, beyond yourself and attracting more people, or whether you want to look at it as just a conscious shift in how you were choosing to invite more people. Maybe it was a subtle thought. I mean, I didn't really seriously, consciously, mindfully, I need to invite more people. It just seemed to have come. It was as if it has already happened, that there are more people, and it's magical and it's fun. And it was just my subconscious kind of doing or fulfilling that, essentially fulfilling that, subconsciously inviting more people to join me. You know what I mean? And it's just an amazing. It's a magical transformation, and it can be done any time of the day, any day of the week, anyone really. It's just, but to be mindful of that shift, how drastic it was, and be able to write about it, and it's pretty cool. And now with you, share it. It's pretty cool how powerful it is to change what you see with your eyes and your ears and your feeling, and to change it into something that you would prefer, because you're the common denominator. You're always there. No matter what you see and what happens in your life, you're always there. So obviously, whether it goes well or whether it goes bad has to do with you. Always, it has to do with you. So it's pretty cool. It's cool. Just I called it a journey entry instead of a journal entry. I called it a journey entry because it's a journey. This whole thing is a journey.
Absolutely.
It's pretty cool.
Well, congratulations. That's really a wonderful, inspiring story. It is that simple. It really is. And, we here on the Trinity of Life, we do touch upon a lot of people who are very inspirational. And we had a wonderful speaker one day who wrote a book. And she has an amazing background that you might be interested in. And she wrote a book called The Happiness Choice. So that in itself encompasses, what you just said.
Writing it down as we speak.
The Happiness Choice. And she's an amazing woman. And now she has put her time into inspiring others to live life to the fullest. And so it is a choice. And, dealing a lot with people who are in the metaphysics, it is the thought and our words are very, very powerful. People don't realize how powerful it is. You want to carry the negative, guess what? You're going to attract the negative. You want to shift it
you're going to see the negative.
You will.
You're also going to see it.
And
you know what I mean?
Hence why when certain people say certain things and make certain judgment calls, I go, have you looked in the mirror lately? To see, it's not that is you, but to know it. There's a saying as we were growing up, it takes one to know one. Right? And I say to people,
takes yourself to know yourself.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, when we make judgment upon certain things, it's time to step back. If you can catch yourself like you did, making that judgment of what this night's going to be like. And then you kind of step back and go, wait a minute, that's an assumption. That's an assumption. I'm assuming what this is going to be like, as opposed to creating what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
Right?
It's amazing. It's mad. That's the magic. That's the magic. That you could literally transform it just by thinking a different thought, or making a different choice.
Absolutely.
No, it's not going to be that story, smoke and mirrors, figment of my imagination. It's going to be this story, magical figment of my imagination. But either way, what would you rather have happen? And that's what tends to happen. Because it's almost like your whole body, every cell in your body, stands up and fights for what you'd rather have happen than what you'd not rather have happen.
That's right.
And every part of you becomes the positive outcome. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's a wonderful journey. And it's a journey that never ends. Right. So the unfolding. So, the question that came into you about, what do you see this evolving into? And it's interesting that you're choosing not to put any parameters around it. You just want to allow it to morph into whatever it will be.
Yeah, I feel like trying to control too much is not a good thing. The minute we start being too fixed, it's like going on a journey, on a trip, on a vacation, and being so fixed to your path, your itinerary, right? That you miss out on all the conversations and all the places, that you have along the way, that all the places that people tell you, you should go to this. It's so awesome. You got to check this out. You miss all those opportunities to see amazing, wonderful things that were off your path. I mean, obviously, you want to have a path. You want to have a general path or an itinerary of where you want to go. But the reality of it is that you have to be ready to break and experience something different and something possibly much better than what you had on your path. If your intuition says go, go. You know what I mean? You're going to miss out. You're going to miss out. If your intuition says go, there's a reason it's saying that. Think about that. Observe that. There's a reason, So sometimes the intuition is coming out of fear, right? And that's where not to go. But if you're coming out of love and you're kind of walking life kind of out of love, you're transmuting the fear. So you can trust that your intuition is telling you the right things, not the wrong things. You know what I mean? And the more you can trust your intuition, the easier life tends to be. The more magical life tends to be, I think. I mean, it's been happening a lot lately,
Good for
Just
you.
does. It
Oh,
just
you
does.
like our other show, Flowing into Awareness.
Because I didn't know it. So I jumped onto this ship really quick. So I can't wait to look into more of what you guys have. And I'm very grateful for you, and I'm very proud that you're doing what you're doing too. Because there are a lot of other people out there. There should not be an Oprah in the world. I mean, she was a great person. She is a great person, but we can all do that.
Yeah.
And I try to tell people, I'm no Oprah. I am not Oprah. You can do this too. Not everybody thinks of me that highly. That only you can do this.
Right.
No, I want to make sure they know I'm not that person. We can all do this, and that's an important point. Is that we can all do this. It doesn't have to be just her or just those people in the world.
Yeah.
So
it takes a village.
Yeah. Hey, total.
Andrew, you have some fun things that you were going to show our audience that I need you to do that because they were so fun and cute. I love it.
Okay, so last year, actually the year before, we thought we were going to, I think it was a year before. Yeah, a year before, we're going to Las Vegas, and we thought it'd be really cool to have these glasses, okay? Because Las Vegas is full of lights, right?
Yeah.
The cool thing about these glasses, and I don't even know if I can fit them. Okay, they fit over my glasses. All right. The cool thing about these is they're about love, if you can see that, right?
Two little hearts on the side.
Represent love. I mean, this friend of mine, totally, they made them custom.
Wow.
And on the inside it says, remember that love is always here now. Share the glasses, show the world how, right? And it's pretty cool. But the cool thing about these is that they're holographic. Every point of light that you see with these glasses is a heart. And it just gets almost overwhelming, especially in Las Vegas. It's like overwhelming. These are the coolest things ever during fireworks in Las Vegas. If you're going to Vegas, talk to me. They're the coolest things ever. So, but anyway,
can you hold it over the lens, Andrew?
You won't. No, you need a point of light. Yeah, you need a point of light. The smaller the point of light, the brighter the point of light, and the further it is away, the clearer, the bigger. It's pretty cool.
Hey, 4th of July is coming.
Telling you, it's going to be cool. So, but then, okay, so there's that. And then the other thing I wanted to show you was the signs, with all the hope tagged on them.
Yeah, those are very cool stickers.
The intention there was to sell it or to put it on auction and just to see where love would take that hope, that hopeful art, right? Didn't work out too well, and that's okay. It's a beginning stage. I'm not attached to the outcome fully. I'd like for it to happen. So This is still the page. If you Google free hugs, signs of hope, right? Or if you had one of these, you could scan the QR code and it would take you to that page on the site. It's on the site anyway, the signs of hope. If you go to hopeheals.us. But anyway, it's just a little rundown of the idea behind the signs of hope. And I'm going to probably in the future be selling them just as art. I'll just list them. Once I have the store or shopping feature set up on the website, I'll just list them as art. And I think that might go better. I don't know. The auction idea, I thought it would be more like an art auction, but eBay, people don't even know that you can go to eBay for art, maybe. So whatever, again, not fully attached to the outcome, kind of want it to happen, but it happens. If it happens, it happens. The other thing about this that I was really looking forward to, that I do want to have happen, is allow these to be sold as it would be kind of an auction, a raffle prize, let's say, for a fundraiser. Okay, so this is the raffle. This is what you would win. You pay X amount to get into the party or the potluck or whatever it is, right? And then you would be able to choose which of these. I have about 8 or so now that are tagged pretty good, 6 or 8, and you would choose which one you want. There would only be 2 of them or so, maybe 1 or 2, right? And you'd put your raffle tickets on whatever one you want,
right?
And then at the end of the night, both of them would go to the winner, depending on which one you put your raffle ticket in. But this would be a great way to raise money, I thought, because it's hope, it's inspirational, and I could also have an artist there that's actually that actually wrote that did an artistic rendition of Free Hugs, and auction that as well as a sign that's blank like this one, right? And then people could tag this throughout the evening with hope.
Right.
Right. And then this could be one of the things that people walk away with, that somebody wins and walks away with at the end of the night.
Yeah.
So I can really see that happening as a good way for any fundraiser, for any organization that's willing to embrace this concept. It would be a great fundraiser. So that I can definitely see happening. I don't know exactly when I'm going to make that happen. You know, I'm only one person again, and I've got other things going on. It's not like my only thing, my only gig. I almost have a full-time job right now. So it's like, it's going to be a little bit tougher. But I mean, I'm looking forward to it because
you definitely have to make a living while you're doing this, and we completely understand and empathize with you.
Right. So,
wow,
a good time.
This is really great. I mean, I of course, we here at Yoga Hub wish you the best of luck in your pursuit of healing. Healing and giving away these free hugs. I think it's very important, and that's why we brought you on. Yeah. And very inspirational. We hope that we can just help in some way or collaborate in some way to help you manifest this to a whole nother level.
Yeah, I'm open to any and all ideas right now. Like I said, I don't know where it's going to go, but I just know that it's going to be fun and positive.
Yes.
And that's for anything else. So
thank you
again.
so much, Andrew. We really, really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your journey. Who knows? Maybe in a little while we'll get you back on and see how far you've gone from that.
That would be cool. A little follow up, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. We believe in that.
Not a problem. All right. Well, have a great day.
You too. Well. Okay, stay online as we close this. Okay.
Sure.
And of course, we'd like to thank Segovia Smith and the whole Yoga Hub team for making this possible every week. And thank each and every one of you for joining us on this new platform of education and information. We are always grateful for your continuous support and look forward to hearing how we can serve you better. We invite you to join us live every Tuesdays for Magical Medical Tour at 10:30 a.m. Pacific, 1:30 Eastern. Wednesdays for Trinity of Life at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, followed every other week with Flowing into Awareness with Anatara. And of course, we always invite your feedback and your comments. Please let us know, call us, and leave a message on our line at 818-LETS-TALK. 818-LETS-TALK. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, namaste. YHTV's Trinity of Life. Come join me, Christina Suzama, as I journey to find the many modalities that support individuals, from children to adults to elders, with topics ranging from health and wellness, meditation, and inspirational stories. I invite you to visit yogahub.tv every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Where do I need to be the most cautious about genetically modified foods? And I think there are two examples that if folks can follow this, they will go a long, long way of making sure that they don't have GMOs in their diet. Corn and soy are the two most prevalent genetically modified foods in our common food